Yo, what is going on, everybody? I'm working with a content coach who's telling me to do more unprepared content. So I'm going to speak today about a lesson that I'm learning the hard way and something that I think will save you millions of dollars over the next 4 to 5 years if you are a 200,000 a year or more entrepreneur and you're quickly scaling, or you're doing a million a year or more and you're hiring a team and scaling up. I just want to share with you a lesson that I'm learning the hard way. And it's essentially that, and by the way, I'm just getting back from a workout. I'm literally in my sweatpants, just about to change, take a shower and everything like that. And then I'm gonna hop in my car and keep the content going from there, so we'll see how this feels. It's a lesson that I'm learning the hard way, and it's that luxuries will actually keep you broke. And I can't necessarily say that I'm gonna fix this like today. This is actually something that I'm actively working on, both in my character and in my priorities and my desires as a young man. I'm 22 years old, right? And so can you really blame me for enjoying nice things? I've got like my most expensive watch is nearly worth $50,000. So I've got these nice things. And I think they've served a purpose for a while. And I think the purpose they've served primarily is in helping me feel the identity of the sort of successful business owner that I desire to be in my heart of hearts, and help me sort of lean into that self-image and therefore enact the sorts of thinking, responses, behavior, decision-making, and strategy that somebody at that level would then enact. So I've got a buddy, for example, who purchased a Lamborghini in cash. He's a close friend of mine. We actually meet weekly. And, he's got, I think at this point, 5 or 6 million in cash in the bank. And he purchased a Lamborghini outright. I was like $400,000, purchased it in cash. And the reason, his justification is he said, okay, it's gonna help me think like a operator of a multi-8-figure company. And I was like, that's kind of a cool thought. I like that thought. But then you look at his Instagram stories, you look at his Facebook, and this is just, this is by no means any issue with him, because he's my age too. I think he's like 20, he's 24, I'm 22, he's 24, so we're not that different in age. And it's all about his Lamborghini. Like he's like, oh, I'm going out for a drive tonight. Oh, I'm taking the Lamborghini to the golf course, all these things. And I just think that's the natural byproduct of purchasing nice things. It's like, oh, well, now you have to use the nice thing. And then when you use the nice thing, actually what it does is it pulls your attention and your focus. And your attention and your focus is so scarce. Like, some people say that time is your most valuable resource. I disagree with that. Time, everybody's got just about the same amount of time. So it'd be like if everybody had $1 million, the dollars aren't the value, it's how they spend them. And in the same way, the time isn't the value, it's actually your attention and how you spend your time that is the value, backing the equity in your time, right? Just like the gold standard, at least how we used to have a gold standard for fiat. There's a sort of an attention standard for time. That's why time is valuable, is because we can spend it doing things that matter to us. And so when our time is spent on luxuries, on maintaining a certain lifestyle, instead of spent on the things that actually grow the business. For example, let me explain another example, actually another angle of thought as to why luxuries keep you broke. And this is the concept of building equity in different forms. So fiat, or like real estate, or these forms of equity, they're actually not, they're recognized on paper, but I don't believe they're the strongest forms of equity. I believe a much stronger form of equity for your company and to ensure your long-term success is reputation equity, first and foremost. It's likability equity. How happy are people that they bought your product a year out from having bought it? How many friends do people send after they've bought your products? How many referrals do you get? With our programs, we get 1 referral per client right now. Very consistently. We've got a great referral program, obviously. That being said, we get 1 referral per client. And that means some clients have sent us 10 people and some people have sent us 0, right? But on average, we get 1 referral per client. And there's very few people that I know with an information-based coaching product that is as good at doing what we do that then deserves 1 referral per client, right? And so we've got reputation equity. We've got product equity. Another way you can invest your money is in team equity. You can either buy $1 million home, or you can put 4 people on a $250,000 a year payroll to then work specifically on your product and your client experience. Which one do you think will actually be worth more 3 years from now? Well, obviously, for a majority of my viewers, it would be the 4 people focused on product quality and reputation and client experience. So one of the best hires that I've recently made is an internal media buyer who's actually taking a piece. He's like taking, I think it's like 7.5% of all the profits that our paid advertising generates for the company in 2022. This is one of the ways that we're going to be scaling up to, I would like to see 4 to 5 million in 2022. Because we're aggressively spending a lot of money now on paid media. And so one way I could have spent money is, he's going to make about, probably about $180,000 to $220,000 a year working for me in my company as a paid media specialist who focuses on my industry and understands my buyer archetypes, understands the psychology of why programs like ours sell, right? So he's a great fit for the company, great culture, similar worldview, really solid dude, Christian, great background, great upbringing, and we just kind of, vibe on a similar level, right? It's because of that, all right, join the team. So which one would be better, right? $220,000 a year into real estate, or $220,000 a year into somebody to literally generate our company directly, more profits, and build a reputation, serve more people, get them more results, and create that butterfly effect of reputation. And so I just want to shift the way that you think, and actually I'm going to continue this video in my car here in just a sec, because I'm going to change out of these clothes, wash up, get in the car. I'm actually headed to a little dinner with my fiance and some of her friends at her work. So I'm going to go do that. Lost my train of thought since I was in my apartment. So hopefully that's okay with you guys. But that said, I kind of had this thought while I was thinking about this video, kind of in between recording it. And I had this thought that, I've had to go through natural stages of progression in my desires and what I actually see as validating my status as an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of the time, and there's nothing wrong with, the first thing I did when I had a $20,000 month is, I visited one of my top clients out in the Netherlands at the time. He's somebody that's going on to do, $400,000 to $500,000 a month in his business, which is really cool. Worked with me back in the day, invested with us. He's the first person he invested into, which I think is super cool. And I was doing $20,000 to $30,000 a month at the time. Visited him, picked up a watch while I was out there. It was a $9,000 watch. So, some of the first things that I did was, buy luxuries or kind of do things that I saw people who were wealthy on the surface doing. Because at the end of the day, I think all a beginner wants to know is that they're worthy of the sorts of things that they say that they desire, and they want to embody maybe the image of that sort of a person. And I think that's what luxuries do. Where it stops serving you, where embodying the image of a wealthy human being stops serving you, is when the opportunity cost of maintaining those things and thinking about those things and, literally just the energy of thinking, oh, I gotta go get my car washed. Or literally just the energy of thinking, oh, I have this expensive apartment, which means it means I've got a lot of space I have to clean. Or, the opportunity cost of the aid that it gives you in your self-image stops creating the amount of momentum in your actions that it once did relative to the baseline that you started at before you invested in those things. I hope my words are making sense. Basically, it stops serving you because you've ingrained into your own head and heart that you are this person that you claim to be. And you don't need external things to validate that. It's more like internal things. It's your accomplishments or your team's, opinion of you, or your client's opinion of you, or what's in the bank, or your actual net worth. And so, have I fully reached that point? No. I can obviously say I have not fully reached that point. In 2022, I've got a couple cars that I'd like to buy. I've got a couple watches that I'd like to buy. But I can see the writing on the wall, and I can see the horizon coming of those things very quickly becoming extreme caps on my growth. Because instead of my equity being in my lifestyle and the things that sort of reaffirm my image, which I think is honestly a valuable thing for a season for a lot of people. And so therefore I see luxuries as actually a necessary step for a lot of entrepreneurs. That's kind of my opinion. But they will keep you broke. Broke being relative to where you could be if you ascended past needing them to affirm your status in your own head. And I hope this message makes sense. So I see the journey for me. I see myself as, coming up on the last season of needing to almost get it out of my system. You know what I mean? Whereas I see a lot of other entrepreneurs where it's literally their business is built to support the things that they want their lifestyle built around. This is my daily driver, right? It's a Honda Civic. It's 2017. I paid it off. It's worth 17 grand. This is what I drive around. And I love this car. It gets me everywhere. I've got 50,000 miles on it, and I'm planning on putting another 100,000 on it. And I love it. It literally does everything I need it to do. The Jaguar, I take around a little too much, if I'm honest with you. I really wish I would leave it at home some more. Honestly, if I could get past needing it around to kind of feel successful and then use that identity, then, I would sell it. But I still see there being utility in those things. So I think the point of this video, if I were to boil it down, is don't build a business for the sake of luxuries. Use luxuries to your advantage and use them to affirm your own status in your head and maybe in your circle, and your social circle in their head as well, because that actually honestly helped. Like when I got the car, it made it sort of real for like my siblings and some of my friends and stuff like that, because they don't quite understand watches. Same when I got the apartment, it really helped like solidify, okay, like I'm actually making good money here. But once that's done, you know, I'm gonna go one more level. I'm probably gonna do some nicer things and then call it quits. At least that's what I think I will do. And that's what I hope to do, especially moving into getting married. I want to live off of like $7,000 a month with me and my wife. I think that is plenty of money for two people, especially living in Indiana. Like, we don't need a lot of money, and that's my advantage long term as I see it, is that, you know, I just kind of needed to get it out of my system, but it is by no means like a culture thing for me. So anyway, hopefully this video makes sense. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Share with me what you think about these topics and how you process, you know, buying luxuries. Do you see them as an investment? Do you see them as a waste of time? How do you perceive them? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and more videos like this soon. Appreciate you all, and have a good one.